Okay, I have no paper, pen. I didn't study at all. But I want to share my testimony. So, excuse me. I'm not going to go into like crazy details, but I think that I could just do like a little bit. So, I'll start with when I found um basically like the Lord. So on my own, because background stories, I'm not trying to really get into background stories, but personally, I think we all have to find like when we're ready, like when we feel like, oh wow, good timing, like just found out something deep, you know what I mean? And of course, it is even deeper than that. But what I'm saying is, you got to really be ready. So now, when it comes to my situation, sorry, the sun is like glaring. When it comes to my situation, when I found the Lord, I was basically watching like Illuminati videos with this guy that I just like started talking to. And so we thought it'd be cool. He was already like into it, and I think I might have like, it was real popular at that time. It was like 2012 or something. Not popular, but it started kind of surfacing because of the web, I think. So we ran into all these videos, how like ASAP Rocky has satanic things in his video. I think it was that, or just the whole Jay-Z thing. A lot of people would speak out. Melissa Ford around that time, which she was like a video vixen. In any case, I was like, well, if the enemy, which is like the devil, is real and people are selling their souls for rich and fame and stuff like that, like it made me have like this kind of fear, like wow, like I'm sitting up here worrying about $20 to get my nails done at the time, or what have you, from New York City, and whatever, like trying to get a job. I don't know. It's like, everyday things, which is, we don't have to think about serious stuff all the time. But what I'm trying to say is like, then when I ran into these videos with me and like my boyfriend at the time, it was like, wow, like these things are real. So in that same instant, we were kind of trying to figure out, well, if these things like swooped us just then, excuse me, maybe like we could look for like church, like let's go to church or something, I think, right? So what happened is, we ended up like, God, I think, really led us to this way. So what the way was what happened was, my boyfriend at the time, he had a Facebook, and on his Facebook he had like a friend, or I think he added him, I don't remember. But the boy who we found, he was doing like a Bible study. He recorded himself doing a Bible study. So when he recorded himself doing the Bible study, my boyfriend at the time called him and was like, hey, that was like, or like hit him up, and he was like, that was really like interesting, we liked it. And which was cool. If you guys know, if anyone knows, basically the Bible study was about wolves in sheep clothing. And also, you know them by their fruits, which is like a teaching, two different teachings that the Lord was saying to the people that were listening to him. So he was doing this teaching, and then in any case, the guy who we found on the internet, he read it as a Bible study. And so my boyfriend at the time hit him up, reached out, and I was with him. We were, I was there as well. And then, so the guy ends up on the phone with him, and he's like, yeah, man, super cool. They're chopping it up. And we were like, just interested. But he was the one who was talking to him. And then he was a young kid too. Like, we were like 20, and he was like a couple years younger than us. I was 20. My boyfriend at the time was 22. And then the guy was 19. So we were all like young. And then, so in any case, the guy sent us like a worship song, which is like a kind of like a Christian song. And it was one of those ones where it was like live, and they had like a concert. So they would like, it wasn't a recorded song, so they would like stop and then kind of say, you guys, if you want, like raise your hands, like give God the praise and the glory, right? And so so I'm listening, and then so what the girl says in the song is like, if you never had an encounter with God, like you know what I'm saying, dive deep right now, and he'll touch your heart and things like that. So I'm listening and I'm like, oh my gosh, like this is so, I could feel my spirit kind of like yielding to God. Like, okay, if this is God, right, obviously, then I'm like, I'm with it, right? Because I love God in any case. Like I always had, like, I suppose children of the Lord are different. They have like a specific spirit where it's like they're already a child of God. So I'm like listening and I'm like, oh, this is so, it was like touching my heart and everything like that. Anyway, I end up crying, and my boyfriend was just listening. He's like, oh, this is cool, you know, but I end up crying. So he calls, because the guy who sent us the song from the social media, he was like, when you guys get through with the song, like, call me back. So he calls him back and he's like, my girlfriend like cried and everything. And then he was like, that's so weird, because the Lord showed me a vision that like he had a vision that that I was crying, or that I cried. And he was like, yeah, also God told this guy, right, the young man, that I would cry. Like, I don't know, there's basically like somebody in the Bible who was like, they called him like a crier, because he would cry for like the people. When he would preach to the people, he was like so adamant and very like heartfelt about the people. His name is Jeremiah. He was a prophet. And I'm not saying I'm Jeremiah or anything like that, but I think that the message was something like that, that I had a heart for people. And that's why I well, excuse me, that was like a fly, that God told him that I would cry. This is way before my time, which is like, that's like 12 years ago or something. So I'm like, oh, I don't know, right? Because I never had a prophecy. I never heard a prophecy in my life. I was like just learning. So we end up going to church, and that's what happened. Me and the guy who I found the video with, who I was dating at the time, we end up getting married. And that's pretty much like the testimony, because after that we got so shook off the Illuminati, you know, secret society videos and whole satanic thing, who have you is a witch, and just the rituals that they do. Even when they do their performances, they make it known that they serve us, you know, these specific type of gods, and everything has to have a sun, I don't know, moon, all kind of, you know, stuff like that. It don't be regular stuff. Like if it's just Beyonce, it's never like a sunflower. It's always like, you know, a bunch of stuff, which that's not my business. But I suppose in some cases, when you do turn to the Lord and you have a relationship with him, you have no choice but to be against the things of not the world, but the things of like that are evil. Because now it's like you're not just someone who isn't conscious. Like now you're aware that there's like good and evil. Just like when, that's like what made me like have this different mindset. And then in an instant, the Lord gave me a word, which was like obviously what he told me. And ever since then, like when I would worship, like when I do worship God, I end up crying and stuff like that, which a lot of women do, because we're more like on a sensitive side. But that is my testimony. That's like part one, because there's always more, right? But that's kind of like how I ended up finding about Jesus. And from then on, I just started going to church, and we went to a Caribbean church, which was like Guyanese, which is really nice. Anyway, I ended up marrying the guy, and that is part one. God bless you.